What do you want me to say? What do you want me to communicate? We just witnessed the luckiest season of all time. The luckiest season of all time. That's what this was. This was the luckiest fantasy season ever. Best fantasy seasons. Team Bundy in 2017. Total domination. Andy's 2019 season. Complete domination. This was not that. Andy gets all the credit in the world for making a pickup like Kyren Williams. I can't say that enough. Andy is so fortunate to have someone like him as a keeper for the next 2 seasons. But the luck that Andy had in this game was a microcosm of the entire season. You mean to tell me that after having the season that Christian McCaffrey had, not necessarily being a bell cow running back, getting 17 carries, 16, 14 carries, still being able to put up the numbers that he was putting up, 100-yard performances all across the board, 2 touchdown games. You mean to tell me that after being shamed the entire year for not selecting Christian McCaffrey, because I thought that Christian McCaffrey's season would be the championship game. I thought that Christian McCaffrey was going to put up a fight early in the season, only to come up short and get injured by week 10. It's what he's done in the past. It's what he's done to me. Pattern recognition. If you aren't aware of it, then you cease to exist in fantasy. You have to read the tea leaves. You have to observe what's going on. That was my assumption of Christian McCaffrey, and that's why I didn't select Christian McCaffrey. But I could not believe that in the championship game against the Washington Commanders, against one of the worst defenses. Listen, Matthew Berry is to fantasy football what John Madden was to broadcasting. Hate him or love him, his self-deprecating humor still gets me to watch his terrible fantasy show because I watch for Matthew Berry. Throughout the entire season, all he has done is step all over his Washington Commanders team. He's originally from Washington.
Edit. Matthew Berry is actually from Denver, Colorado. He is not from Washington, though he is a Commanders fan. Matthew Berry from Denver, Colorado. Please continue.
All he has done is shit on how bad the Washington Commanders are. And in anticipation of this matchup, he did the same. So think about it like this. Christian McCaffrey, the best fantasy player, maybe second to Josh Allen, a MVP candidate, maybe second to Lamar Jackson, steps into the championship game, gets 14 carries, 64 yards on the ground, 4 catches, 27 yards in the air, gets 8 points, and then gets injured. Elijah Moore walked in with a touchdown in the second half. Christian McCaffrey got hurt in the third. Elijah Moore got about 70 yards and 14 points, whatever the fuck he got. I'm not even going to bother going to the player pool and confirming that.
Mitchell.
Think about it. When was the last time Christian McCaffrey put up single-digit numbers? It certainly wasn't this season. Did it happen in 2022? No. I'm not sure that it did. We have witnessed the most fortunate fantasy season of all time. Aside from the Kyren Williams, Andy won 101-93. You mean to tell me Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to fill that gap for Eric? Is that what you mean to tell me? I understand that Andy got a 0 from the Raiders defense. That's business as usual. Getting 0 from defenses, that's what happens. I understand that Andy got 7 points from Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill hasn't exactly been himself since his injury. Will that be the way in which Tyreek Hill carries himself out for the rest of the season? We don't know. 6 points in week 14. Then he missed the game against the Jets. Then he scored 9 and then 7. Guess the only difference is he hasn't gotten a touchdown, but he's gotten yardage. I understand that Patrick Mahomes has been Patrick Mahomes the entire season, scoring just 11 pathetic points against the Cincinnati Bengals. And technically, if Andy would have started Matthew Stafford, the outcome would have been greater. All these things under consideration, it still astounds me that at a time when it seemed like CMC would win Eric the league, he falls short, doing exactly what I thought he would do. I cannot believe. I'm the concession guy from Coming to America when he sees Akeem in the hallway. I can't believe it. I cannot believe how lucky Andy was this season. David Njoku picking up 11 points now, in retrospect, is a big deal. Because Eric has said several times over the past couple of weeks that he's chosen to not make any waiver moves. Eric at least attempting to pick up a better tight end should have been a thing. Because as we mentioned last week, Jake Ferguson had to do something. And boy, did Jake Ferguson just fail Eric over the past 2.5 months. Jake Ferguson hasn't done anything. He got a touchdown in week 13, scoring 13 points. But other than that, there hasn't been anything. He had 2 really good weeks this year. I mean, and when I mean really good weeks, I mean those are tight end really good weeks. But it wasn't the numbers of a Sam Laporta. It wasn't the numbers of a TJ Hawkinson. It wasn't that type of production. But not picking up Njoku, maybe that's something else we should look into. Gus Edwards got a touchdown. Cooper Kupp got a touchdown. Jalen Hurts against the Arizona Cardinals scored 18 points. Not a great performance, but 7 points more than Patrick Mahomes. You know, when you look at things in terms of positional matchups, then you kind of figure that Jalen Hurts did his job. 17 points from the Bills' defense for Eric. 9 points from his kicker. Again, I said Andy got 0 from the Raiders' defense. That was the difference. The difference was Christian McCaffrey got hurt. He got a boo-boo, and Andy wins his 3rd straight championship. That's all that happened here. There's no science. There's nothing to go into detail over. That's all that happened. Andy shouldn't have picked the Raiders defense. We were on the last preview telling you that if you come back with a disappointing outcome from a team who in the real world is perceived as a middle of the road or mediocre team, then you kind of got what you deserved. And Andy got what he deserved by starting the Raiders defense. This is depressing. So I'm just going to end this with a moan. What do you say? That's how we're going to end the 2023 fantasy season, with a collective moan. Please moan with me. Ooh.